Hi everyone, welcome back. Let's talk about relationships. Welcome to the channel if it's your first time, and if you're a frequent flyer, I'm glad to have you back. Please comment in the section on the comments and let me know what you think about what we're talking about here. All right, so are relationships worth it? Are they overrated? Do you want to be in a relationship? Well, the short answer is only you can know that for you. However, let me give you a little bit more context on this. For me, growing up, that was what I was shown, that you grow up at some point, you get in a relationship, you get married, you have kids, you do all this kind of thing. But it never actually felt right or light to me, or like that was what was going to be. And I was a little spirited, and I knew I had a lot of dreams with regards to business and things like that. And but I didn't really pay attention to that. So I got in relationship after relationship after relationship based out of need and obligation. And somewhere along the way in my adulthood, I realized, somebody asked me, one of my mentors, do you want to be in a relationship? And I was like, you can ask that question? I mean, you have choice? Yes, you have choice. And at that time, it was like, no, I do not. And I was actually in a relationship. And what that made me realize is that I attracted the relationship that I was in from a no, I don't want to be in a relationship, but I didn't listen to my navigation system and I chose yes. And that relationship really turned out horrible, in all honesty. So note to self, it's really important before you get into a relationship or you say yes to something that you're clear within yourself about what's your yes and what's your no. And then you actually listen. So get to know your yes, okay? One of the funny things I say with people about getting to know their yes, think about a food in your body or a food that you love. And where do you feel that in your body? For me, it's always pizza. I can eat pizza all the time, okay? It doesn't even matter. And where would I feel that? Like right here. That's my yes. So when I get something like right here, that's my yes. So if I ask myself, do I want to be in a relationship, and I feel it right there, that's my yes. Now, if you don't know, find out what your yes is, okay? What's your favorite food? Yum, 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 yum. What makes you go yum, 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 yum? This is strange, I know, because we're talking about relationship, but it will actually help and save you a lot of trouble if you use it. Now, maybe you don't like a certain food or the texture of something, or maybe you had, food poisoning and you got sick off of it and you never had it again. Where do you feel that in your body? Maybe like right now as I feel it, it's in my gut, like, ugh. Right? That's your no. So when you might have somebody come in a room and you're like, oh my God, they are just like the everything. I want them now. And then we usually go toward that without even thinking because you're just like so pulled. Well, where's your yes and no in that? You're just pulled on energy. That doesn't mean it's meant to be. Sometimes that means run for your life. So taken from experience, in order to know if you want to be in a relationship, get your yes, get your no, find out what works for you. And so there you go. You see that person come in and they're like, oh, and then you go like, oh yes, that's really nice. All right, I'm going to go up and talk to them. I'm going to start asking them questions or whatever, have a conversation. And then you find out that they may look good, but man, they can't even hold a conversation. And you're like, that is not going to work for me. At least you know now before you said yes. Making it very pragmatic and simple for a reason, because we cloud ourselves with our own lives. If you tune into your own navigation system, your yes and your no, don't get into relationships just because there's an obligation, just because you think you have to. In fact, I know a lot of people that aren't in a relationship and are very happy. I also know a lot of people that are in relationship and it works for them, but it doesn't necessarily look like it would work for me. And I know what works for me now in relationship, and I've created that. And then in the past, as I gave you that example, when I learned that I was in a relationship and I didn't want to be, once that relationship ended, I really made a commitment to find out what works for me, find out what I require. And I promised myself that I was never gonna say yes until there was a really strong yes. And my body got with it, and I got with it, and it was just so easy. And then everything has been easy. But it took a couple of tumbles around the sun to get this ease, Whatever it is, everything is for a season, a reason, perhaps sometimes for a lifetime, okay? And that's okay. See what your season reason is for a lifetime right now regarding relationship. Doesn't mean anything about you if you're in one. Doesn't mean anything about you if you're not in one. In fact, what it could mean is that you're listening to your yes and you're listening to your no. In that sense, you've won the Oscar because that's what relationship is all about. Your yes, your no, and then someone come and joining you together to keep creating your yeses and your nos for a greater possibility, for more fun, more joy, more generosity, more contribution, and you keep choosing each other from there. But if one's yes and one's no, you're in a mixed message, and oil and water just don't mix, my friends. Thanks for listening. Like the button, send it to somebody or someone's. If it's of interest to you, hit the bell and get notified when more new videos come along. Thanks for listening.